Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this simple cardigan. It's a beginner-friendly pattern, very quick and easy to make. I've included links in the description below for the written pattern, as well as a list of the materials needed. This pattern is in US terms, and I'm going to be working on a size medium. The written pattern does include small, medium, large, and extra large sizing options. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to begin with our starting loop. Just wrap the yarn around your finger, let it cross over itself. Pick up a little bit of that bottom piece and push just a bit of the top piece through. Go ahead and get that onto your hook. And we're going to begin working on one of the front panels. We need two front panels and a back panel for this cardigan. So we're going to start, I'm working on a size medium. Again, there is a link in the description below to the written pattern if you wanted to get that. For different size options, it offers small, medium, large, and extra large. In this video tutorial, I will be working on a size medium. So we're going to chain 20. Yarn over and pull through the loop. Yarn over, pull through the loop, and you're just going to go ahead and keep on doing that until you get to chain 20 and then come back. Okay, so now that you've finished your starting chain, we are going to half double crochet into the second chain from our hook and into each chain down the row. So you're going to yarn over your hook, push it through that second chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've now got 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull right through all 3 loops. So yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And you're just going to go ahead and keep on repeating this all the way down till you get to the end of the row, and then you'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that you've gotten to the end of your row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're going to work a half double crochet into each stitch down our row. So just go ahead and work 1 half double crochet into every single stitch all the way down the row. By the time that you get to the end of this row, you will have a total of 2 rows of work done. When you get to the end of this row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And you're just going to continue on working a half double crochet into every single stitch all the way down your row. At the end of this row, you're going to work this for a total of 45 more rows. So you're going to want, including these 2 rows, so our first row of work, this is our second that we're on right now. By the time that you're done your work, you should have a total of 47 rows of half double crochet stitches. At the end of every single row, don't forget to chain 1 and turn your work. That's what's going to give you that nice clean edge. So go ahead and continue on working 1 half double crochet in every single stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and come back after you have finished a total of 47 rows. All right, so now when you have finished all of those rows, we're going to just pull up a little bit here, fasten it off. Okay, set that aside and you're going to repeat these same steps again for the other front panel. So you can go ahead and restart the video if you need all the steps again. Do another front panel, and then now we're going to, when you finish your second front panel, come on back and we're about to start the back panel now. All right, so for the back panel, we're going to go ahead and begin with our starting loop again. Get that onto your hook. And now, as I mentioned before, I'm working on a size medium, so I'm going to chain 47. Yarn over, pull through the loops, yarn over, pull through your loop. And you're just going to keep on going until you get to the chain that you need for your back panel. Again, if you're following this pattern for the medium size that I'm doing, you're going to continue on until you get to a chain of 47. So go ahead and pause your video, finish your starting chain, and then come back. All right, so now that you finished your starting chain, we're going to be repeating just like we did with the front panels. So we're going to work our half double crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then one half double crochet into every single chain all the way down. So just go ahead and continue on working your half double crochets all the way to the end. And then of course, when you get to the end of your row, you're going to chain one and turn your work. And you'll continue on working your half double crochets into every stitch all the way down each row. Chain one, turn your work. And you're going to go ahead and continue on working your rows of half double crochet until you get to the same length as you did for the back panels. So in this case, for myself, again, as I'm doing medium, I'm going to need a total of 47 rows of work. So go ahead, pause the video, finish working your rows of half double crochets for your back panel, and then come back and I will show you how we are going to connect and do the sleeves. Okay, so now that you've finished all of the rows for the back panel, you're just going to pull a little bit up of your yarn. We'll go ahead and fasten that off and pull that little bit through so it's finished off there. So this where you just ended is going to be the bottom of your sweater. So go ahead and find the top portion, which is where your starting chain was. Just getting it lined up here so I can give you a good view. Okay. And then you're going to grab one of your front panels, also from lining it up with what would have been the starting chain. And then from the outer corner all the way in, we're going to completely attach the top of one of our front panels with the top of our back panel, working slip stitches through both sides at the same time. So I'm going to turn my work around actually this way. So I'm working this way. Okay, so just line that up. You can get your hook through the first stitch on both sides. Grab your yarn and we're going to make a starting loop. Go ahead and get that onto your hook and just pull it through to get it started off. Chain one. And now we're going to work slip stitches through the stitches, making sure you go through both sides because we want to connect it and create a seam. So you're just going to go ahead and pull that right through to do a slip stitch. So go into that next stitch, working through both sides, yarn over, pull the hook right through to complete your slip stitch. Go ahead and do that all the way down until you get to the end of the front panel here. Repeat that for the other side as well, and then come back and I'll show you how we're going to do the sleeves. Okay, so now that we finished attaching the front panels to the back of our cardigan along the top, we're going to close the side so that we can then begin the sleeves. So this is the top portion. Looking from the top of your cardigan, the top corner, which would be the shoulder. You're going to count by the rows of work here. And we're going to reattach our yarn into, if you're working on a medium, the 14th row, working through both sides, of course. So looking at our rows of work, right? We're going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th row. Just going to go ahead and get that in here, and I want to make sure it's lined up perfectly on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th row is here. Okay. So I've got that lined up. I've got my hook through both sides to make sure that I'm working evenly down. And now you're just going to work your slip stitches evenly all the way down to close the seam on the side. So you go ahead and grab your yarn. Make another starting loop. Get that onto your hook. And pull it through and chain 1. Now working down the side of your work can seem a little bit awkward because you're not working into actual stitches, but as long as it's even. So I just like to line it up with each row. Just going to slip stitch right through, making sure that you're working through both sides of your work. Just like that. And you're going to go all the way down. So when you're deciding where you wanted to start closing the side seams of the cardigan, what you're bearing in mind is how wide you want the sleeve to be. Okay, so again, if you're following this pattern exactly, you will have counted down 14 rows and attached your yarn there. We're working slip stitches through both sides all the way down to the very bottom. Then you're going to fasten off, repeat the same thing for the other side, and then come back. Okay, so now that you finished closing the seams down the side of your work, let's work on the sleeves. So we're going to go ahead and make another starting loop. And we're going to reattach our yarn in the armpit, right in the armpit, or sorry, underarm of your sweater. So go ahead and get that on your hook. Pull it through. Chain 1. Right here is a good point to use a stitch marker if you have a hard time keeping track of rounds. Also, if you have a hard time doing clean finishes with your slip stitches into your chain 1 spaces and you don't want to have a seam running right down the arm of your work, I will be honest, I do struggle with that. A lot of the time I do have a seam running down, but anyways, if it doesn't bother you, go ahead. If it does, you can work in continuous rounds. It's just important that you keep track of your rounds, so I would recommend using a stitch marker if you're going to be doing that. Okay, so we're going to half double crochet evenly all the way around. If you're working on a size medium, you should have a total of 34 half double crochets all the way around. If you have a different stitch count and you're happy with the width of the sleeve, that's fine. Just make sure you mark down what your stitch count is because you want it to be the same on the other sleeve. You don't want one sleeve to be tighter than the other, so the stitches have to match on both sides. So we're going to work our half double crochets evenly all the way around. So you can go ahead and pause the video, work your half double crochets evenly all the way around, and when you get back to the beginning where that chain 1 is, sorry, I'm here struggling a little to get it in there. When you get back to the beginning where your chain 1 is here, come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that you've finished working those stitches around for your sleeve, you're here at the chain 1 space. So we're going to close with a slip stitch into the chain 1. We're going to chain 1, and I really do recommend, especially because we're going to be turning our work, so our chain is going to be twisted. It could be a little hard to keep track of, so I do recommend using a stitch marker. Again, it's completely up to you. If you don't want to, that's okay. Just something I personally recommend. So I've done my chain 1 to start my next round. Now I'm going to turn my work. It's sliding down a little. Sorry, let me just fix this up. Okay. You can see my sleeve there. There we go. So I chained 1 and I turned my work. The reason I'm turning even though we're working it around is because working all of the rows of our cardigan so far, when we would be working our half double crochets and get to the end, we would chain 1, turn our work and come back. So it's created a look that I want to have consistent in my sleeves. So if you just work half double crochets all the way around in one direction, the sleeves are going to look different than the rest of the sweater. Whereas if we chain one and turn our work at the end of each round, then it's going to look, the sleeves are going to look the same as the rest of our cardigan. So now we're just going to continue on with working one half double crochet into every single stitch all the way around. When you get to the start here at your chain one, you're going to close with a slip stitch, chain one, and turn your work. You're going to do this for a total of 35 rounds. So you're going to go ahead and continue to work this for a total of 35 rounds unless you want a longer or shorter sleeve. Okay, so the rounds are including the first one that we did when we were working evenly all the way around. Then this one that we're working on right now, the round we just began, is round 2. So it's a total of 35 rounds that you're wanting to do of your half double crochets. Okay, so go ahead and finish those rounds and then come back. Okay, so now that you've finished those rounds for your sleeve, we're going to work on the cuff. So we're going to work a single crochet decrease. You're going to push your hook through that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then you're going to take your hook and go right into the next stitch beside it, push it through, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull right through all 3 loops. So we've taken these first 2 stitches and we turn them into 1. We're going to work a regular single crochet in the next stitch. So you're going to push your hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull right through both loops. We're going to work another single crochet decrease. So push your hook through that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go into the very next stitch beside it, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Single crochet in the next, single crochet decrease, single crochet in the following, single crochet decrease, and you're just going to continue alternating between these 2 stitches all the way around. When you get to the beginning, close with a slip stitch, chain 1, and don't turn your work. Now we're continuing just working one direction, okay? So when you get to the end of this round, close with your slip stitch, chain 1, and come back. If when you got to the end of your round, you finished with an odd number and it was kind of like it didn't finish off on a decrease, that's okay. All right. So go ahead and close your round with a slip stitch, chain 1, move your stitch marker up, and now we're just going to work one regular single crochet into every single stitch all the way around. So just one single crochet into each stitch all the way around. When you get back to the beginning of your round, you're going to close with a slip stitch in that chain 1 space, chain 1, and then come back and I'll show you how we're going to finish off. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do our very last round of work on the cuff of this sleeve by repeating what we did with our decrease round previously. So we're going to work a single crochet decrease and then a single crochet. Single crochet decrease and a single crochet. Go ahead and keep on working that, alternating between these 2 stitches all the way around. When you get back to the start, close with a slip stitch. Don't chain 1 because we're going to be done. Unless you want your cuff to be longer, go ahead. But when you get back to the beginning and you close with a slip stitch, come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that you've finished that round and you closed with a slip stitch, we're going to take out our stitch marker, pull up just a little bit of a tail, just enough that you can have some that you can weave in and out of the stitches to hide and secure. I need to get new scissors. I shouldn't have to cut twice for yarn. Okay, so pull that through. And then just go ahead and repeat these steps for the other sleeve. Then we're going to go ahead and begin our working on the trim. Okay, so now we're going to work on the trim along the bottom of our sweater, and then we'll work on the trim that goes up the sides and around the neck. Okay, so let's work on the trim along the bottom of our cardigan first. So go ahead and get your hook into the first stitch at either, you can begin at either end, but you want to be at the very bottom corner of one of the front panels of your work, and we're going to work straight across the entire bottom of our sweater to the other front corner of the bottom of one of the other front panel. Okay, so go ahead and make your starting loop, get that onto your hook, pull it through the stitch, and chain 2. So we are going to double crochet into every single stitch all the way along the very bottom, including right at the beginning here. So push your hook, sorry, let me show you that double crochet for those of you that are brand new to crochet. We're going to yarn over our hook, push it through that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. We're going to do that into every single stitch. So again, yarn over, push your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2, yarn over and pull through the next 2. And you're just going to go ahead and continue on repeating all the way down. And you're going to do this into every single stitch all the way along the entire bottom of your cardigan. So when you get to the other end, when you get to the end of this row, working 1 double crochet into every single stitch, then come on back. So you can pause your video, finish working 1 double crochet into every stitch all the way down the row, and then come back. All right, so now that you've gotten to the end of that row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. I've already turned my work, so that's why it was a quick little flip there. All right, sliding down off my table. I'm just going to adjust it. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to work. You're going to yarn over, and we're going to work right here into the very first post. Okay, you're going to work right. So now we're going to yarn over, and you're going to work just a regular double crochet into the first stitch. And then working around the post. Actually, no. So now we're going to work a front post double crochet. So yarn over, you're going to push your hook between these 2 posts here. So not into the stitch, we're going between the posts, around behind. So we're pulling this post to the front of our work and bringing your hook out the other side. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then finish off your double crochet as usual. The next one, we're going to do a back post double crochet. So we're going to be alternating between front post and back post. So for the next one, you're going to yarn over, push your hook around behind your work, and bring it between the posts, pushing your hook to the front. Go over the post so you're pushing it to the back, and pull your hook through the other side. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then finish your double crochet as usual. So I'll do another front post and back post with you. Yarn over, bring your hook to the front of your work between the post around behind the one that you're working on, and pull your hook out the other side. Yarn over, pull up a loop, finish your double crochet. And then the next one, we're doing a back post double crochet. So yarn over, push your hook behind your work, push it through between the posts, coming through the front of your work, go over the front of the post you're working on, push your hook out the other side, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2 to finish your double crochet. So you're just going to go ahead and continue on alternating between your front post double crochet and your back post double crochets all the way down till you get to the very end, and then come back. Okay, so now that you've gotten to the end of your work here, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And right now we're at the beginning here where you have this chain 2 from the last one that does not count as a stitch. So now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to repeat that row one more time, being sure to work each front post double crochet around the front post double crochet from the previous row, and each back post double crochet around the back post double crochet from the previous row. So yarn over, and this one you can tell is a front post double crochet from the last row. So we're going to wrap our hook around and work a front post double crochet around this one. Yarn over, work your back post double crochet around this one from the previous row. Now I know we chained, I want to just touch on one thing just to save any confusion. I'm going to do 2 more here. I do realize what I just said when I'm saying that we're going to be working our front post double crochets in every front post double crochet from the previous row. Technically, because we turned our work, it is the opposite, but I'm referring to from this view. Okay. All right. So basically, you're wanting it to look like all of the front post double crochets are lined up, all of the back post double crochets are lined up. All right. Because when we turned our work, the stitches that were a back post double crochet, when we turned our work, it's now what's appearing to be our front post double crochets. Okay, so that's why you're seeing mine like this. And you're just going to keep on going and work all the way down the row. When you get to the end, we're going to work on the trim around that goes up each side of the front of our cardigan. So go ahead and pause your video, finish this row, and then come back. Okay, so now that we're here at the end of this row, you're at the end of one of the corners, and we need to go up and around the edge. So you don't need to fasten off here. What we're going to do instead is chain 2, turn our work so that now we're going to work up the front of our work. You're going to yarn over, and right here in this little first kind of around this last post, which would have been a chain, we're going to push our hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop, and just work a regular double crochet. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead just like that and continue on working your double crochets evenly all the way up the front, around the back of the neck, all the way down the other side of your front panel, down the other front panel. And that's going to bring you, so when you're working your double crochets evenly all the way up and around, it's going to bring you right down to the other bottom corner front panel. You're going to come right down to the bottom and then fasten off your work. And you're done. You'll use a yarn needle to go ahead and weave in all of your tail ends in and out of the stitches to hide and secure. I hope that you've enjoyed this pattern and found the tutorial helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to have a look at the helpful links in the description below.